So I'm back for the second time wearing my Sony hat, talking about the Sony sa-Z1 Ultimate Near Field Desktop Monitor System. And there are a couple of things that I didn't mention in the last video, and one was that for a time, while I was still deciding if I should keep these very expensive Sony monitors, I decided to bring in KEF LSX LT2 monitors and played them to see, hey, this is a much less expensive monitor. It should work well with the KEF subwoofers. Let me see if I can keep those KEFs. They're a really good price, and actually Costco had them at a fantastic discount from their normal $1,000 price to $600. That represented a really, really good value. So I brought them in, I listened to them, I wanted to see if I could return these very expensive Sony speakers and be happy with the KEFs. And I have to tell you, there was just simply no comparison. Compared to the KEFs, which I know a lot of people love and has an interesting coincident design, and if you've seen my other videos, you know that I really like coincident speakers because I use the TAD CR1s, which is an Andrew Jones design coincident speaker. And for my home theater, I use the ELAC Adante speakers, also designed by Andrew Jones, and a coincident design as well. So I'm fully down with coincident monitors, but I have to say that the KEFs, to my ears, were a bit disappointing. They just sounded very lo-fi, very buzzy. You could hear the cabinet. It sounded sort of plasticky. And in comparison to these much, much more expensive Sony monitors, which of course are aluminum, the KEFs could just not hold a candle to what Sony was doing. So I thought it was interesting. I thought I would try. I'd always wanted to hear what the latest small KEFs were like, which were meant for desktops, but they just could not compete with what Sony did, and it was not even close. And there was a couple of things that I forgot to mention, some really interesting features that this Sony has. And one of those is some sort of, well, what they call back then AI, some type of harmonic recovery that Sony claimed filled in the gaps in compressed music or online music, and that would help fill out what was missing in a compressed or streaming format. And it is subtle, but actually it does make things like YouTube videos like a little nicer actually. So Sony clearly pulled out all the stops to really try and make these sa-Z1 monitors something special. And even 5 years later, I think that they really are. So if you like this kind of content, learning about high-end speakers and video and hearing these high-quality recordings, please consider hitting the subscribe button so that you'll know when I drop more videos. Thanks again for watching.